It's competition, and it can only be one winner. It can't be two winners. It can only be one winner. So it's either gonna be you or me, and I'm gonna get you before you get me.
Tank Davis is stepping into the ring this Saturday night against Lamont Roach Jr. But the talk surrounding the fight isn't just about what happens inside the ropes. There's an unsettling tension behind the scenes, and it's coming from none other than Davis's longtime trainer, Calvin Ford. Ford, who has been by Tank's side for years, has been noticeably cryptic about this fight. And some insiders are whispering that Davis might not be as prepared as people think.
During your fight, LOL. Just your thoughts on that, and do you have a message for him?
Honestly, he got to fight next week, right? So it seemed like he focused on me, and Lamont Roach is focused on him. I think I'm going to go put my bet in on Lamont.
Roach, coming in as the underdog, isn't just talking a big game. He genuinely believes he can break Davis down and take his title. We're going to see how he reacts when he gets hit with this punch, especially a clean one, Roach declared, with confidence. That's not the kind of talk you hear from just any opponent. Roach believes he has the tools to test Tank's durability, and given Davis's history of walking through opponents, this will be his biggest challenge in a while.
Roach he come to fight, and I think it's a great fight. Everybody talking all that stuff about, oh, why Roach? Because he signed, took the fight, you know what I'm saying? And it's good for the community.
Yet, the real heat is in Davis's corner. A couple of months ago, Tank himself cast doubt on his training situation. "I don't know if I'm training with you for Lamont Roach," he wrote in a post. That post wasn't directed at just anyone, it was aimed at Calvin Ford. When a fighter starts questioning his own training team before a fight, it raises concerns. Ford has since kept things vague, posting a cryptic message saying, "People often fail to comprehend my suffering, my convictions, and my emotions regarding various matters. However, I possess that understanding." It's from this post that people started wondering what it even meant. It sounded like a man who was dealing with something big behind closed doors. But now, as it turns out, Ford wasn't done. According to him, Tank has a way of underestimating the threat when stepping into the ring, and that might cost him. Meanwhile, Roach sees an opportunity. He's aware of all the talk surrounding Davis's camp and is staying focused. Roach has adopted a mindset that he's got nothing to lose, and sometimes that's the most dangerous thing for an opponent like Davis. When Roach says, "I know I have everything to match what he has or neutralize what he has," you have to wonder if he's seeing something the rest of us aren't. Let's not forget the pressure. On Davis, he's positioned himself as the face of boxing, but lately, people have been questioning whether he's truly living up to that title. The $80 PPV price for this fight has frustrated fans, especially after the blockbuster recent cards that gave them huge fights at no extra cost. If Tank doesn't put on a dominant performance, people will start questioning his value. He needs to deliver not just a win, but a statement. Roach, on the other hand, is stepping into this with everything to gain.
My whole family is from DC. My whole family, like my entire family.
Don't bring them. Don't bring them.
For what?
Don't bring them. I'm telling you.
They gonna celebrate with me. Yeah.
Don't bring them.
It's gonna be a party on your floor.
I'm gonna let y'all know something. His father was up here shaking on the what's the name? He was shaking on the
pops.
He's not the biggest puncher Davis has faced, but he's got skills and believes in his ability to go 12 rounds. He mentioned how Tank fought Isaac Pitbull Cruz and had to rely mostly on his right hand after hurting his left. Roach sees that as an opening. If Tank's power slows down, it can be neutralized. But can Roach really stand up to Davis's power? Tank has been steamrolling opponents, knocking out his last 4 challengers without much resistance. His explosive style, combined with his precision, makes him one of the most dangerous fighters in boxing. Roach isn't blind to this, but he thinks he has the right approach. "I can hit, I have nice reflexes, and I have a nice boxing IQ," Roach admitted. "But it's just about what I know I got." It's a bold claim against a fighter like Davis, but it also shows that Roach isn't intimidated. One major question remains. Will Davis bring his A game, or will the distractions outside the ring cost him? Fighters at the top level can't afford mental lapses, and all this noise surrounding Davis's camp might be the crack Roach needs to exploit. Roach's confidence is something you don't usually see from fighters. Stepping into the ring with Tank Davis, most guys acknowledge his power but try to downplay it, hoping to avoid sounding scared. Roach, however, is outright saying he's not concerned.
And it was a good bump. You know what I mean? I'm not saying this to promote a fight. Like, Buddy can fight. He can hit. The only thing, he's just a little slow. Like,
That's a different kind of energy, one that suggests he knows something we don't. He's been sparring with bigger guys. taking shots from middleweights and junior middleweights, and believes that experience is enough to prepare him for Tank's power. But the reality is, no amount of sparring can truly replicate what it's like to take a clean shot from Gervonta Davis. Just ask the long list of opponents who thought they had a game plan before finding themselves laid out on the canvas. Roach claims he won't be frantic, but that's exactly what happens to most fighters once they start feeling the weight of Davis's punches.
You see who it is? Yeah. Who is the dude? Who is the dude?
And that right there is...
It's one thing to take shots in sparring where you have headgear in a controlled environment, but inside that ring, under the bright lights, when you've got a 135-pound wrecking ball in front of you, everything changes. The footwork gets sloppy, the hands start dropping, and survival instincts kick in. Roach may believe he can handle it, but belief doesn't always translate to reality. Roach's real challenge isn't just Tank's power, it's Tank's ability to adapt. Davis isn't just a knockout artist, he's a calculated finisher. He takes a few rounds to read his opponent, makes them comfortable, and then lowers the boom. If Roach isn't careful, he'll find himself walking into something he doesn't see coming. He talks about adjustments and being prepared for every scenario, but all it takes is one mistake, 1 second of hesitation, or one lazy jab, and it could be lights out.
Say 9th round.
What?
I say 9th round.
You said 9?
Yeah.
What's your response to that, Lamont?
Look, he got scared. Look. He looked at night.
I'm telling him, you saying you going down in a night?
Another problem for Roach is that even if he makes it to the final bell, he might still not win. Boxing isn't just about landing punches, it's about how those punches look. If both fighters land an equal number of shots, the judges will always to favor the guy whose punches are doing more damage. Davis's shots shake up his opponents even when they're blocking. You can see the impact. Roach could outwork Tank in some rounds, but if Tank lands the harder, more dramatic shots, that's what the judges will remember. The rivalry between Crawford and Davis is a tangled web of personal animosity and professional rivalry. Crawford's accusations of arrogance and bravado go beyond the usual trash talk. He seems genuinely disgusted by Davis's personality and the way he carries himself. Davis, on the other hand, has no problem firing back with sharp comments of his own, painting Crawford as someone desperate for recognition. It's unlikely that this war of words will end anytime soon. Both men are too proud and too competitive to back down. Davis is laser-focused on his upcoming title defense, but he's probably keeping a close eye on Crawford's comments. Crawford, even with the Canelo fight looming large, doesn't seem interested in letting this beef go.
Have there been any talks with Tank's team?
They reached out, but we told them to come back with an offer. And as far as that, we ain't hit nothing decision. Me and him fighting each other, we'll seal the deal on the kings of that division.
Whether or not Davis and Crawford ever find themselves in the same room again remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. This rivalry has already provided plenty of drama, and the boxing world will be watching closely to see what happens next. However, it's funny how Tank Davis accused Terence Crawford of chasing money with the Canelo fight when Davis himself is eyeing a big payday from Saudi Arabia to fight Devin Haney. Tank's latest comments about fighting in Saudi Arabia make it clear that he's not just interested in boxing, he's interested in luxury and status. As he put it, 2, 3 or 4 Ferraris. While Crawford's move to fight Canelo in Riyadh is seen as a legacy-defining challenge, Davis's approach feels more like a negotiation for his own fantasy shopping spree. Davis's willingness to negotiate with Turki Al-Ashik, the man responsible for bringing mega fights to Saudi Arabia, is already stirring controversy. During a Chat on a Safe Place podcast, Davis made his demands clear. If he's stepping into the ring against Devin Haney on Saudi soil, the price has to be sky high. They said I would fight Devin, and then they said Devin was their chosen one, Davis explained. So now they have to pay me extra because I already know what I'm going for. His implication was loud and clear. If Haney's being propped up as the favored son of Saudi boxing, Davis isn't about to step into the lion's den without securing a hefty insurance policy.
Obviously you and Tank, and that's something that I feel like has built up for years.
Yeah, I mean the fight has been built up for years, and at the end of the day, if he want the fight, he could have the fight because he's the WBA fake champion. He's not the, he has the Mickey Mouse belt. So if he...
Davis's comments also hinted at his distrust of how boxing decisions are made when big money and big names are involved. He practically accused Saudi organizers of stacking the deck in Haney's favor, saying, "If I don't knock him out, you're going to give the fight to him." That's not just a jab at Haney, it's a swipe at the entire system. It's rare for a fighter to speak this openly about concerns over biased judging, especially when massive paychecks are on the table. What makes this even more ironic is Davis's previous stance not too long ago. He seemed uninterested in joining the wave of fighters cashing in on the Saudi boxing boom.
Somebody asked Lomachenko.
No. All right. Turkey said he got your 2 Ferraris ready. What you think about that? Oh. Turkey said he got your 2 Ferraris ready. I need 3 now.
Tank is singing a different tune now. His shift in attitude is almost comedic. One minute he's taking shots at Crawford's decision to fight in Riyadh. The next he's rattling off luxury car demands and positioning himself for his own trip to the desert. Turki Al-Ashik's strategy of pouring astronomical sums into boxing has already lured some of the sport's biggest names. Fury and Usyk's 2-fight series brought them record paydays, and Canelo's deal is reportedly worth enough to make anyone reconsider their boxing future. Davis clearly sees the dollar signs flashing, but he's framing his interest as more of a demand for respect than just chasing cash. Yet the line between earning respect and cashing in is blurring fast in this scenario. Devin Haney's name being thrown into the mix just adds more fuel to the fire.
If not, y'all gonna give it to him. So that's what made me like, oh yeah, I see what's going on. So now, give me 2 or 4 or 3 Ferraris. If not, ain't no point in me going over there for. Y'all got the money.
Haney and Davis have been circling each other for years, with fans and analysts eagerly awaiting the day they finally step into the ring together. But Tank's comments make it seem like the fight wouldn't just be between him and Haney, it would be him against the entire Saudi boxing machine. His criticisms of how fights are managed in Saudi Arabia come across as both a negotiation tactic and a warning shot. He wants everyone to know that if the fight happens, he's walking into hostile territory with his eyes wide open.
Sheik mapped out Shakur's next 3 fights, and the third one is Gervonta Davis. He must be sending not the 3 Ferraris that your boy wanted. He probably gonna send him a couple Ferrari mechanics so they can build him his own Ferrari factory.
He was being sarcastic, like he said, because, you know, Turkey was already with Dev and he was making it seem like he was fucking.
Despite the bravado and posturing, Davis did throw a small bone of respect to Turki Al-Ashik. "I'm only grateful for the money he's put in," Davis said. But even that praise came with a caveat. He added that organizers need to be smarter and know more about the sport so that fights are fair. It's the kind of comment that will likely stir even more controversy in a sport where money often dictates outcomes. Davis is essentially calling for transparency, while simultaneously demanding enough cash to buy out a Ferrari dealership.
Definitely don't want to be someone like Devin, you know what I mean? Talk all that trash and then overlook my opponent and then get knocked out.
Tank, Martin was really confident in this press conference today that not only is he going to secure a win, but that he's going to get a knockout. How much of that do you think is false confidence?
Then there's the question of whether Davis really believes Haney is the favorite in the eyes of Saudi organizers. By calling Haney their chosen one, Davis may be setting the stage to discredit any potential loss before the fight even happens. It's a classic move in boxing, undermining the legitimacy of your opponent's support system so that, win or lose, you come out looking like the hero. But it's also a risky strategy. If Davis does end up fighting Haney in Saudi Arabia and doesn't get the knockout he's predicting, his words may come back to haunt him. The boxing world has long been a theater for heated happenings, but Davis's latest comments take the spectacle to a new level. He's not just negotiating for a fight, he's negotiating for his narrative.
I'm being real, so hold on.
Yeah.
When you look at like Devin Haney's situation when he went to go sue Ryan Garcia, like is that, do you
Yeah, bitch.
Okay, cool. So okay.
Crawford didn't mince words when he talked about Gervonta Davis's chances against Shaka Stevenson or Kessin. He straight up said that Tank would catch his first losses if he stepped into the ring with either of them. That's a heavy claim, considering Gervonta's undefeated record and reputation for knockout power. But Crawford's not just blowing smoke. He's been in those trenches and watched Kessin destroy Dennis Barak firsthand. For him, Tank's knockouts won't be enough against fighters as mentally tough and strategic as Shaka and Kessin.
I'm gonna fight Tank. Stop mentioning other people when I mention your fight. The is you talking about, boy? Like, don't play with me, bro. Y'all know how I'm coming. Tank, if you wanna fight, send me a contract, bro. Tank, you know.
Davis sounded just as bold, even likening a potential fight with Tank to the brutal beatdown Crawford handed Errol Spence Jr. last year. That's not just confidence, it's a declaration of war. Kessin sees himself as smarter and sharper both inside and outside the ring, claiming that Gervonta has nothing but that one-punch knockout power to rely on. Kessin is convinced he's already a better fighter than what the world has seen from him so far. That's the kind of talk that puts real pressure on Gervonta to prove Kessin wrong.
Is Keyshawn the one that can crack their Gervonta code?
Gervonta can be beat easily, man.
Ooh.
Yeah, we hear you say he could be beat easily. Why?
Yeah, he could be beat easily because he's just a basic type of dude with a lot of power. If you know boxing like I know boxing, you can take away that power from you. You know what I'm saying? Young fella. We
Then there's Shaka Stevenson, who's been chasing Tank for what feels like forever. He's fed up. The way he talks, it's clear he doesn't think Davis has any intention of stepping into the ring with him. Shaka doesn't hold back, calling Davis a weird human being and saying he doesn't respect him. If that's not fuel for a future showdown, what is? He also made a point to mention that Turkey Alashik could easily bankroll this fight. Basically, Shaka is publicly daring Tank to take the deal. The ball's in Tank's court, and Shaka knows it.
I thought he was a tremendous talent. I still think he is. And I think he'll beat any lightweight with the possible exception of Keyshawn Davis.
That's a fight we probably will never see, huh?
Neither guy wants to fight.
But Gervonta's next test is Lamont Roach on March 1st in Brooklyn. Everyone's watching to see how he performs, because that fight could set the tone for what comes next. If Tank steamrolls Roach, the pressure will mount for him to finally take on one of the division's champions. And let's not forget that Vasyl Lomachenko is back in the mix. Davis's team approached Loma last year, but he was taking a break from boxing at the time. Now that he's back, it's looking like he could be Davis's next target. That fight alone would be a blockbuster event, given Loma's slick skills and reputation as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters when he's at his peak.
I say 9th round.
What?
I say 9th round.
You said 9?
Yeah.
What's your response to that, Lamont?
Look, he got scared. Look, he looked at night.
I'm telling him, you saying you going down in a night? You know that power curry late.
However, there's another layer to all this. Davis's hunger for big paydays. He openly talked about negotiating with Turkey Alashik to fight in Saudi Arabia, demanding at least 4 Ferraris before even considering a deal. While some might think that's just Tank being Tank, others see it as a sign of how the game is changing. Saudi Arabia's deep pockets are shifting the power dynamics in boxing, and Gervonta knows it. He's playing hardball, but with so much money on the table, who's to say Turkey won't meet his demands? The irony in all this is hard to ignore. Just a little while ago, Tank threw shade at Terence Crawford, claiming Crawford was chasing money, yet here he is, publicly holding out for luxury cars and mega purses. It's a classic case of the pot calling the kettle black.
At age, I think he was like 17. I wasn't that much older than him. I think we probably like 3 years older, apart, but I feel as though he slowed down. All that partying and drinking and stuff slowed him down.
The difference, though, is that Crawford has already proven himself at the highest level, taking down Spence to become the undisputed welterweight champion. Gervonta, for all his knockouts and pay-per-view fame, hasn't unified the lightweight division yet. Fans are starting to demand more than just talk and one-punch finishes. They want legacy fights. Crawford's comments about Davis's opponents hit a nerve too. He pointed out that Tank's been fighting guys who aren't mentally strong enough to last all 12 rounds with him. That's a harsh critique, and whether it's fair or not, it's bound to stick until Davis proves otherwise. Facing guys like Shaka, Kesson, or even Loma would silence a lot of doubters. These are fighters with elite skills, ring IQ, and the mental toughness to handle whatever Tank throws their way. Shaka's frustrations are understandable. He's one of the brightest young stars in boxing, and he's been calling out Davis for years with no response. He made it clear that he doesn't have the financial muscle to send Tank an offer, but Turkey Alashik does. By putting the responsibility on Tank to accept a fight in Saudi Arabia, Shaka is essentially forcing Gervonta to make a choice, either step up or keep dodging. But boxing history tells us that talk only goes so far. When that first power shot lands, all the bravado in the world won't help. It's going to come down to whether he can survive what Tank is bringing.